Hi guys, I'm bringing you the video. It's going to look like I'm not looking at you because for some reason I keep trying to focus that way and the camera looks like I'm looking up. I also don't mind my neck today. I gotta love sinus season. My allergies are insane and my neck is kind of swollen a little bit. So yeah, that's always fun. So here's the answers to your questions that you asked. There were some pretty different ones this time, and I know I'm going to butcher some usernames and I apologize ahead of time. But I'm going to start with what came in because these questions actually came in way back when I said I was going to do this. So I wrote them down so that I wouldn't forget about them. So this is from Zherz. Zherz is actually a Minecraft player. He's not a Sims player, but he started following and subscribing, and I've been watching his videos too. And if you're into Minecraft and you enjoy he likes to do the Minecraft dungeon one, which is a little creepier. So if you enjoy those kind of videos, I'm going to try to link everybody's channels down below so you guys can all find each other if you want. So he had quite a few, so bear with me as I ask. And some might be a repeat of what you guys asked. So I may answer a question twice, just so you know. So Zherz asked what first one was, what is my favorite food? Well, I am a huge pasta fan. As if you couldn't tell. I think I'm a closet Italian. But I love spaghetti. I'm just a huge spaghetti fan. If it's not that, then I lean towards Mexican. I could eat probably a taco or nachos all day. I mean, that's just... And I don't play around with spice either. And I don't mean that in a bad way. No, I mean, I layer on jalapenos, I throw on the hot sauce. Mine has to be really, really hot, which carried on to my son, who's, got to have the hottest ones possible on his stuff. So, that tends towards my favorite foods. I mean, if you want to throw in a drink, I'm a lemonade fan. I just never been a dairy person. And coffee. I got to have my coffee. So you will see me sipping my coffee through this because I haven't had my first cup yet. So, he also asks, what are my favorite metal bands? Because Zherz is also a metalhead. He appreciates good music. And just, I go into deep metal. I'm not just flirting on the surface saying, oh, I like Metallica. And yeah, I love them. I grew up with them. I did love them. But I'm a Marilyn Manson fan. I go that direction, more towards death metal. I'm a Marilyn Manson fan. I am a Motionless in White fan. I'm part of the Black Veil Bride Army. I've got BVB out on my minivan, on the windows. Ice Nine Kills. I mean, anything like that just gets me... and that's what I actually create too, because I really, really enjoy listening to that music. And it gets me going. And you guys have seen the houses I create when I do it, so I guess it's getting me going well enough. He wants to know other games that I play than The Sims. I didn't have a whole lot of other games. Of course, I started way back with the original Nintendo, so I used to play all the fighting games. I was a Street Fighter fan. Oh my god, Mortal Kombat was my thing. Katana, I take Katana, you're done. You're gonna lose. But when I would play games a lot more other than The Sims, it was Warcraft. I was a huge World of Warcraft fan. I still am. I just can't afford the monthly basis they want. And the memory on Warcraft is like 85 gigs, and I can't put that in with The Sims. I tried. I had both on my computer, and The Sims was so laggy that I said, I can't do this anymore. And you all know I like to build, and I got to have my CC, and I'm a CC hoarder. So Warcraft had to go, and since they charge by month, I went with the free game, Sims. But I love Warcraft. Diablo was my second. I always played Diablo a lot. So I am not just straight Sims. I liked my fighting games when I was working, because if someone ticked me off at the store where I was working, I'd come home and kill things in Warcraft. Nothing beats you pulling out a gun in a fake game and killing animals and not kids, but people in there, and completing missions, because then you felt like, okay, tension release. He wants to know how I got interested in tarot. Well, I've always been interested in tarot. My whole family has gone down, each female generation. We all have a little bit of psychic abilities. My mom could always tell when someone was going to come over. She always knew when someone was going to call. She always knew if something happened to someone. My grandma, I guess, was the same way Mom said. So we all just had it come down the line. And the weirdest thing is it hit this last line with my kids, and my son has it. I mean, my daughter is an empath, and she's a Taurus like me. And we each have that, but it's weird because my son picked it up this round, and he has actual dreams of things that could happen, which is kind of creepy. But if he's dreaming something bad, so... But yeah, I've always been into tarot. I've always been interested in telling the future. I am one of those people who, yes, played around with the Ouija board. I have never had issues with them. You got to know what you're doing. You got to not call on the wrong things. And I had a board once that everything it told me was going to happen came true in my life. And it was right. It's right down to how many kids I would have, where I was going to live, what I was going to do. It told me everything. The only thing I haven't run into yet is who it told me I was going to marry. So... never been married. We'll just throw that out there. So that part was wrong. But no, I love everything like that. I love just magic and just, I have empathic abilities. I have some clairvoyance. And I just enjoy it. And I finally decided to share it with all of you guys. That's part of what I do outside of YouTube. Because he did ask what you do outside of YouTube. And I believe... yeah, MimzieMalley asked me that too, what I do in my free time. Well, I try, when the gas prices weren't huge, I try to travel, I try to get around. I mean, those of you who watched my first video, you've heard me say this before, that I enjoy abandoned things, I enjoy ghost towns, I enjoy the history of things. I go to a ghost town that's in the upper part of our state. It is a full-out mining town on a bay. And all the buildings are open to be explored. They don't care. You can come in. It's a state park. And there's camping there available too. There's an old graveyard that's a little ways away. And it's just, that's my type of thing. I like that kind of history. And not necessarily the ghost hunting, although I do love ghost hunting. I used to go in places that were haunted all the time. And I would try to find things or see things. And it's just, maybe it's a little creepy for some, but that's kind of my enjoyment. I used to like to sit at my parents' farm and sit out in nature and read books, and I'd sit out in their back fields because they had a lot of acreage, and I'd go sit out in the back fields and just kind of lay in the field and read a book. And reading used to be a bigger part of my life. I just don't seem to have time for it anymore. I don't know, attention spans aren't what they used to be. But as for opinion on YouTube with small creators, well, they kind of suck with small creators. They don't really put us out there. They don't really put us on people's lists. They don't really, until you reach a certain amount of subscribers or a certain amount of people noticing you, they don't really put your videos where anybody can see them. It's rare for someone to say, hey, I saw your video suggested to me, so I came over. It's very rare. A lot of us small creators are building our channels based on who we know, and Twitter, Instagram, and boosting it that way with the people on there that boost, which I appreciate every single one of you guys. You guys have no problem retweeting my stuff. And as you see, I have no problem retweeting yours. If I really enjoy a channel, I'm going to really boost it and try to get people to watch it. I promote people on YouTube. Sometimes I promote the wrong people and push them a little bit too much, and they turn out to not be what I think. But other than that, that's my opinion on them. I think they should give a little more of a break towards the smaller ones that have less subs and less views than they do towards the ones that have 10,000 and 100,000s. And it seems to be that they kind of kiss butt on the ones that have a little more clout, as they say. And how are the rest of us going to get to that point if they don't start pushing us too? And I did take their survey, and I did tell them all of this stuff. And, so if that's what you want to know, Zherz, yes, I found the survey, and I did take it, and I did tell them all this stuff about how they need to promote the smaller ones better and stop kissing the big ones' butts. Now, this will be, I'm noticing I'm at 9 minutes already, so this is going to be a longer video today. Hope you guys don't mind me rambling. I want to make sure I actually answer these questions, not just kind of give you a quick 2-second answer that makes no sense. And I'd sure like to know why my eyes look blue on here, because my eyes are actually green. Anyways, not to wander off into weird stuff. SimfulPanda. You want to know if I have pets? Yes, I have pets. I have 4 cats. I have an old lady who's about 15, somewhere in that range. We're not sure. And her name's Callie. She's a calico cat. Then I have my little, the baby of the family, Alice. She's a black cat. And then the kids, my son has, well, they split the twins. We have 2 white twins, which we found out are actually an extremely rare cat that are apparently worth a lot of money, but these neighbors of ours were breeding them and they didn't want them. They threw them out on the street. And these cats are friendly. I mean, they were so friendly. And when they started coming here, I wasn't going to take them in. But then we hit winter. And I said, you know what? These cats are beautiful. There's no way I'm going to leave them out in winter. So we pulled the 2 in, and we got a boy and a girl out of it. And Elsa and Olaf. And they're wonderful cats. And they are so attached to their humans. My son had Elsa for the longest time. Then he went to college. So Elsa and Olaf have both adopted my daughter now. Of course, now she's wandering around now she graduated. Guess what? Mom's got all 4. So that's a little much for me to cuddle. I'm telling you, especially with all that fur. So if you see fur, like in my readings and stuff, it's because I can't get the white fur out of everything. It's everywhere. My black cat, thankfully, doesn't shed like that. Now, this one I'm probably going to kill, and I apologize for this. I think your real name is Danielle. But AngelicLilPika. And I really hope I said that right. My favorite thing to build in The Sims 4. As you've seen the last 2 days, I released a couple desert builds. I love desert builds. They're actually my challenge because I'll picture like a Spanish build or just one of those, almost a container home that has like the overlooking decks over the sand and everything. And I'll picture these and the lowered platforms and all that stuff. And I just can't seem to get the picture that's in my head. So I just keep building them because I'm trying to make them better and better. But I absolutely love doing desert builds. And I love the beach houses. I am so happy that we got Solani because I love to build it. I love to build the little beach houses everywhere. Which kind of leads me to Simeralla's, which was my kryptonite builds. For the longest time, it was anything to do with terrain. Until we got the pond tools and I started playing, I still am not a terrain fan. I know you guys say I can do terrain. I am not a terrain fan. And a lot of it is because once you build them up on a terrain, you have to get all of the balance of the buildings right. You have to fight with the block clusters that don't match. And then on top of that, you got to make it so they actually have a trail to get into the house, because sometimes I try to build that trail coming down so it's almost like a little winding road going up, and it doesn't work because there's one little freaking bump in there that the sim can't step over. So you got to get all that right, and then you come down to the landscaping. You've got to landscape the whole thing to cover where that terrain is, so it doesn't just look like a giant blocky mountain. You got to actually do all that, which is why I built that one build, Snake Mountain, because I wanted to challenge myself by building a mountain. And Mount Olympus too, with all the rocks and stuff. It's just, those scare me because I'm so afraid they're going to come out and look so bad. So that's kind of my bane there, is the terrain. And I keep on building with the terrain tools because I'm challenging myself more and more and more. The other thing would be if there's a lot of roofing on a building. And you give me an octagon or one of them towers and I'm done. That's it. I can't roof them for nothing. Roofing is not my thing. It's not like I watch a couple other people that just slap those roofs on like nothing. And it's just like, okay, here, I'll do terrain for you if you want to put a roof on my house, because I cannot roof these things. So those are kind of my banes right there. Now, my biggest regret, Gia, I thought on this one. It's hard to answer this because anything I regret or anything I could change might not lead me to have the kids and the family I have today. So when I think back, and I was going to originally say not going to college like I wanted to do, I had a really stupid guidance counselor that told me my grades were too low and I couldn't get into any college. Here's the thing. I was an honor student until senior year. Senior year, I blew off because I had a guidance counselor try to tell me that I wasn't going anywhere in my life. Funny how she got fired later. But I kind of gave up. I kind of thought, if she doesn't even think I can get into a local college, just one of our small 2 years, where am I going to go in life? So I just kind of said, screw it. I went off, did my thing, partied a little too much, 2 kids later. I think if I had any regrets on that, it would be the fact that the pandemic took the last 2 years that I could have had with my dad. So that's my regret, is not spending enough time with my dad before he died. And he didn't die in a normal way. You could say, oh, COVID probably got him, or old age, or his heart. Yes, he had a bad heart. But no, this was a normal, okay, honey, I'm going off fishing this morning, and it didn't work out. He actually fell in the lake, and that's how he went. So he taught us for many, many years, which that's another regret too, not learning to swim properly. Because my dad told us for years, if we ever went to the beach and we ever got out too deep, he could not save us because he could not swim. He made that clear to us. And here he's fishing on a busy bridge in the middle of a town, and nobody saw him go in. So, and I'm not trying to get the sympathy. I'm not trying to get all that. It's me finally saying it out loud, because it's going to be 2 years in August, and sometimes you just don't face things right away, and you have to finally face them. So that's another regret too, not letting myself grieve. So the biggest regret though I have is when I had my daughter, and no, I'm not going to go into any labor details. Relax, guys. But when I had my daughter, I went in, I had my boyfriend there, and they asked if he could help hold my legs so I could have her. Because I won't lie, my daughter was 10 pounds. I mean, she about broke my ass. And so they asked him if he could help, because they didn't have enough nurses or something. So he held one of my legs back. The problem is, my ex was extremely strong, and without knowing it, he popped my hip out. He dislocated it. And my daughter ended up in NICU. She had an infection, so she had to be in NICU, for 3 weeks in case of seizures. She had wires running all over her. So we had to run up, literally after I had her, I had to make an hour drive to the nearest NICU area without my hip being popped back in. And because we spent a couple weeks up in the NICU with her, I didn't know the extent of my injuries. I just knew I couldn't sleep. I knew I couldn't sit. I had a hard time. I mean, anything touched my hip, and I was screaming. But I have a high pain tolerance, so I don't always know when I'm really hurt. So we ended up being up there for a few weeks. Well, the problem is, because I was worried about her and her being in NICU and doing all this, I wasn't worried about me, and my hip healed that way. And I have basically my hip healed over the scar tissue. So I've had lower back pain and hip issues ever since. So if I had, my biggest regret there would be letting him do that day, letting him help like that, because I should have known that he never did anything halfway. He always was extreme and everything. He's very dramatic. So, I mean, looking back now, I wasn't truly with it anyways while I was having her, so I wouldn't have noticed. But I definitely noticed, and I'm still noticing every morning when I get up and it's cold out. Which, can't be helped now, but I really wish that had been popped back in. That would have been nice. So a lot of why I do tarot, a lot of why I'm doing all this stuff for side projects is because even though that happened to me, I still worked for a long time on the bad hip, bad lower back. I worked on cement floors. I unloaded trucks, unloaded cases of stuff. We're talking cases of water, cases of laundry detergent. And I still did this for years. And now I'm too sore to do any of this anymore. And I'm just trying to make a go with this tarot to see if I can do something that doesn't require me to have to do all those long hours on my hips and my back anymore. It sucks to get old. So if you're not there yet, don't get there. Let's see. So going along with MimzieMalley, I did answer what I do in my free time. She wants to know who or what got me into The Sims. Again, back to my, just a second. back to my ex. He spent hours on my freaking TV playing video games. And I had nothing else to do. We were taking care of the kid. Well, I say we. I mean, I was taking care of the kids. And I was also working. I was doing home health care too, taking care of people. And so at night, I wouldn't have anything to do. I'd be on my computer because I didn't, so I was playing Warcraft. And I kind of decided there's got to be something a little bit different out there. And then I saw like an ad for Sims. And I'm like, oh, this is different than Warcraft. With Warcraft, yeah, you can change their outfits. You can do this or that, but you're very limited to what you can do with them and the free will and how you can tell them to do stuff and which way to go. And I was like, there's got to be more of a simulation where I could do all this. And I was doing those little simulation games. I don't even remember half of them, but they used to pop up all the time, like the Facebook games and stuff. And so I decided to give that a try because it fascinated me. And then I was hooked. From the time I was little to almost my teenage years, I was a Barbie girl. So to me, playing with The Sims was bringing my Barbies out into real life. And it's an awesome excuse for a 46-year-old woman to be able to play Barbies right now. So that's why I see Seahorde, because I get to play with real Barbies and I get to design homes like I used to do when I was a kid. So that's kind of what got me to Sims. It's probably a lot of the Barbie thing. My favorite Sims YouTuber. Well, I don't know. I mean, if we go back to the beginning when I first started watching The Sims, I started with, like everybody does, Little Simsie, or however you say it. I'm not a fan of her now. But I started with her. I was fascinated with her. I also got into Plumbella. Who doesn't love her? And the fact that she says whatever she wants just makes her even more awesome. And I started drifting to Fantasia and Urban Sims. And honestly now, when I think of my favorite Sims YouTubers, it's this crew. It's the smaller YouTubers that I watch right now. The ones that highly entertain me. Gia, Luna. I mean, there's two right off the top of my head that if you guys get videos out, I'm coming right to your video because you entertain me. You make me laugh. I enjoy it. And you make like the mistakes I would make, which makes it so relatable and so much fun. And I mean, every single person watching this right now is probably one of my favorite people to watch. So, I mean, I've got so many, and so many that aren't out that I used to watch that just don't seem to do videos anymore. I used to be into Machiavelli. He was a builder. He was a really good builder, and I haven't seen anything from him. I think he just went through some personal issues and that disappeared. I've had a few people. I mean, I used to follow some, but Soul Sister Sims. I don't know if anybody's ever seen her builds. But she was my number one builder for a very, very, very long time. And she is a CC builder. And her homes were gorgeous. And I've learned so much from her. And I don't watch her like I used to because I try not to watch too many builders. Because then they give me ideas. And I don't want to look like I'm copying homes or I'm doing... Because my brain will suck up that information. And I'll try to recreate it. And that's the problem. Pardon me, is I don't want to copy anyone's style. I don't want to copy anyone's. And as for my big builder is Jet Simmer. And he's another one who's taught me a lot. And I really, really enjoy his videos. I don't watch a lot of Let's Plays. I'm sorry, guys. I try to follow a lot of Let's Plays. The thing of it is, it's just hard because you got to catch each one in order or you're totally lost. And it's hard to catch them all when you're off doing your videos at the same time you're doing your builds, and you're trying your hardest to catch up on them. But a lot of the challenges I just can't get into watching. I mean, I don't know much about the Whimsy one, and I don't watch a lot of the Berry ones because I don't know, maybe it's just me. I like the Black Widows, I like the other ones like that. So apparently I like the darker YouTube. But sorry if I haven't been catching up on your videos. That's a lot of the problem, is catching the time to do it, because between the building and that, I try to catch them at night when I'm done building. I know I'm missing quite a few right now, though. So, the last one on here is from DeedzTrivia. I know I was going to call you Danielle, but I've noticed you say it kind of with your accent as Danielle, or even Danielle, which actually is very beautiful. So, how do I get out of a block on Sims and YouTube? Watch other videos. They tend to get me out of a block. Or if I can't think of what to build, I start cruising the real estate sites. I start cruising Pinterest. I have a lot of real estate sites on Instagram, and that gets me motivated again. Or I'll just flat out Google. I'll Google beach house. I'll Google this, Google that, and they'll pop up. When I did the wedding champ, or did the different homes, that one Tartosa build I did that was kind of the Greek house, I looked that up first to get an idea, because I knew I wanted to do something like that, but I didn't know what to do. A block for me is coming on Twitter, talking to you guys. You know, it helps. Go outside, go sit out there, have a fire. I have a side yard here with a fire pit. You know, roast a few marshmallows and block might just lift. Or I'll go visit my mom and go up to visit her on her farm, and sometimes just sitting at the farm helps a lot. I'm sorry that this is almost 30 minutes long. I didn't mean to wander off this much. I hope you guys aren't bored halfway through, or at the beginning. But I appreciate you guys asking the questions. I appreciate the Q&A. If anybody wants to get a free reading, I'm going to try to do that at 200 subs. So if you know people who want to check out different Sims builds, keep on pushing them towards me. I'll keep pushing them to your channels like I've been trying to do. So, you know, if you want to enter for a free reading, I mean, I'm sure I can figure out how to link something to Twitter messages instead of doing all the email attachments and stuff. I'll figure this out yet, a better way to link these videos to people. So I guess that's going to about do it for now. Thanks for putting up with me and tolerating my less than caffeinated state right now. And I'm going to try to cut this now because I'm at 27 minutes and it's adding up pretty bad. But thanks for listening, and thanks for asking the questions, guys. I appreciate all of you. I love all of you. Thank you for being here.